Good evening. You're watching the News at 6 with me, Ishan Russell. The News at 6 is all about the day's biggest developing stories. And one of the big developments that happened today was the depreciation of the rupee. How is that happening? Because of the Chinese yuan. What are the global impacts and what happens to the rupee? We'll be discussing all that with a special guest. But first, the headlines that we're tracking right now. Government relents in Lok Sabha, accepts opposition demand to discuss adjournment motion on the Lalit Modi row. Sushma Swaraj defends conduct. The opposition rejects humanitarian grounds argument. For the second day in a row, the constitutional amendment bill on GST tabled in the Rajya Sabha. The opposition rejects India Inc.'s online petition on disruptions. Anti-NDA alliance announces seat-sharing plan in Bihar. JDU and RJD contest 100 seats each. Congress gets 40. The rupee falls over 1% to 64.92 per dollar amid devaluation of the yuan and sharp decline across emerging market currencies. And the United States joins Russia and China in opposing negotiations to reform the UNSC, refuses to contribute to texts that will form the basis of the process. For our top story this evening, the debate in Parliament today over Lalit Modi was all that it was expected to be. Loaded with political wrangling, it was all about allegations and counter-allegations between the opposition and the Treasury benches. As she agreed to a debate, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj got her own back, launching a personal attack on the Gandhi clan.
When the debate in Parliament on the controversial former IPL Commissioner Lalit Modi finally began, it was all that it promised to be. Starting with an adjournment motion moved by the Congress, it had in it a lot of political drama. The motion moved by Congress was at first rejected by the Speaker before External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj requested Sumitra Mahajan to admit it as it is. 2 adjournments later, the Speaker allotted 150 minutes for the debate on the Lalit Modi issue. Appealing that the Prime Minister be present in the House during the debate, Mallikarjun Kharge said any help to a fugitive, even on humanitarian grounds, has to be given within the ambit of the law.
Foreign Affairs Minister का कर्तव्य था कि अगर किसी का पासपोर्ट अगर कैंसल हुआ और वो एक इकोनॉमिक ऑफेंडर है, वो विदेश में रहता है, उसके ऊपर ब्लू कॉर्नर नोटिस है, तो क्यों आप अपील में नहीं गए? मैं पूछना चाहता हूं, आप अपील में क्यों नहीं गए? क्योंकि अगर मैं ये कहूंगा तो नाराज हो जाएंगे, लेकिन कोई हरकत नहीं है, क्योंकि उसमें उनके घर के लोग वकील थे.
When the Congress leader started talking of Rajasthan Chief Minister Vasundhara Raje in his speech, objections were raised.
उनमें से एक श्रीमती वसुंधरा राजे थी. उन्होंने दिए गए इस पत्र में
ये अभी संदर्भित नहीं है.
Following the uproar, Lok Sabha was adjourned till 2 p.m.
The House stands adjourned to meet again.
When the House reconvened, Congress Chief Sonia Gandhi made a rare dash into the well to join her colleagues as they protested a remark made by a BJP lawmaker. The loud protests forced another adjournment, this time till 2:30 p.m. On resumption, Kharge once again raised the demand for Sushma's resignation. When it was turn for her to speak, Sushma was at her defensive best. She denied having any conflict of interest in helping Lalit Modi, saying her husband and daughter had not accepted any money as legal fees from the cricket tycoon. And then she launched a caustic attack on the Gandhis.
सुषमा स्वराज ने कोई काम छुप के नहीं किया. अगर छुप के किया तो क्वात्रोची को भगाने का तुमने किया. अगर छुप के कोई काम किया तो राजीव गांधी की सरकार में एंडरसन को भगाने का काम.
The Congress party has accused Sushma Swaraj of office to help Lalit Modi get urgent travel papers last year. The party insists that the minister resign on moral grounds. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Replying to the External Affairs Minister Zabab, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi gave a spirited speech in the Lok Sabha, questioning Sushma Swaraj over the help she gave to Lalit Modi.
ब्लैक मार्क जो काला धन है उसका जो चिन्ह है उसको बचाने के लिए कितना पैसा मिला? और दूसरा सवाल, आपने ये काम छुप के क्यों किया?
And for the government, Finance Minister Arun Shourie replied to the debate. He said there was no strength in the Congress's argument, adding that the party had no evidence to back its claims.
मैं ये स्पष्ट करना चाहता हूं कि खड़गे जी ने, श्री राहुल गांधी जी ने और अन्य सदस्य जिन्होंने ये आरोप लगाए हैं, सरकार उनको पूरे रूप से निराधार मानती है, उनको खारिज करती है.
And let's go across to our correspondent Vishal there, who's been tracking all these developments happening in Parliament. And Vishal, indeed, finally it's come to this after weeks of delay in the government and the opposition really debating this issue. Finally, it's happening. But how does it seem? Would the government, is the government in a position to relent to the opposition's demands, or is the government remaining steadfast?
Well, the government has clarified, Ishan, and that was very clear from Sushma Swaraj's reply, as well as the finance minister, who is right now speaking as well. Initially, when he started speaking, he clearly made it out from the government side that there is no question of the government agreeing to any of the allegations which are leveled against the external affairs minister. Now, the proceedings in the Lok Sabha are still underway, and since this is an adjournment motion, we're hoping that the Congress, which moved the adjournment motion, would also be seeking voting on it. So obviously it's going to take a little bit of more time before this entire process comes to an end. But yes, after 3.5 weeks of adjournments, disruptions, no legislative business, no work being conducted, it seems both sides, members from both sides, gave words to their feelings. It was pretty much evident in the speeches which were made inside the House from the Congress's side as well as from the government side. When Sushma Swaraj spoke, it was pretty much clear that this was a particular debate which was specifically there were no hold, there were no holes, there were no bars as to what exactly was what the allegations being leveled against each other. The focus entirely was to try and paint the other side in a picture which is not favorable to them.
Absolutely. Vishal, do stay on with us because we'll also talk about the Rajya Sabha. And for the second day, the constitutional amendment bill on GST was stalled in the Rajya Sabha. The bill could not be taken up amid the standoff over tainted ministers. The confrontation paralyzed the business of the House.
Lalit Gate Rao, Vyapam scam and the silence of the Prime Minister. The opposition cornered the government on several issues in the upper house on the penultimate day of the monsoon session. Business, especially the key reform bill on GST, was once again the casualty. The Congress stepped up the heat on the government on the corruption allegations when the House resumed on Wednesday.
From the day one of this session, when it comes to fixing accountability and taking action, that's why the opposition has been giving these motions, notice for motions. If it is cabinet minister, it has to be the Prime Minister. It cannot be anybody else.
The government also continued its counter-offensive against the Congress. It blamed the opposition of trying to stall the development of the country.
आपने बार-बार मोशन को अलाउ किया, डिस्कशन को अलाउ किया, डिबेट को अलाउ किया, but unfortunately ये तैयार ही नहीं है.
In the post-lunch session, the chair urged the protesting members to take up the GST bill.
This GST is your bill. It is a baby of your Congress. It is your bill.
But the impasse continued, forcing the chair to adjourn the House for the day. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And as the monsoon session of Parliament heads for a complete washout, a petition from top industrialists urging legislators to debate rather than block legislation has gathered over 15,000 signatures. Among the signatories are some of the biggest names of the industry, like former Infosys CEO Chris Krishnan, Godrej Group Chairperson Adi Godrej, Chairman of Bajaj Auto Rahul Bajaj and Chairperson of Biocon Kiran Mazumdar Shaw. The petition demanded that both houses be allowed to function, debate and legislate on proposals like GST. India Inc. has said that GST could significantly contribute to the growth of the country and its states. While the government welcomed the online petition, opposition parties have slammed the industry leaders for trying to dictate Parliament's functioning.
It is not only industrialists. It is thousands and thousands of average citizens, students, youth, poor people who have signed that online petition. it is lawyers, it's eminent doctors who have signed it. Because every segment of society has an interest in India's democracy and India's parliament functioning.
Corporate India wants to participate in the political discourse, they can do so, but not in a selective manner. It almost seems as if the Rockefeller moment of corporate India is souring. The return on political investment is floundering, and therefore you have these knee-jerk reactions taking place.
तो अपील हम लोगों से करके कोई फायदा नहीं। अपील होना चाहिए प्रधानमंत्री को और शासक भाजपा को। ये एक जांच आप लागू करवाइए और इनको पद से हटाइए और जांच चलने दो और सदन भी चलने दो।
And let's go across to our correspondent Vishal Daya, who's been tracking all the developments that have been happening in Parliament. Vishal, talking about the upper house, the GST bill, that crucial GST bill, of course, is the bone of contention over there, and the opposition not giving up, not allowing the government off on the GST bill as well.
Well, yes, you're right. In fact, similar scenes were repeated in the upper house as we have been witnessing for past few days. Though there was an attempt from the chair, that is Deputy Chairperson PJ Kurian, when T. Rangarajan's motion under Rule 267 came up. Deputy Chair once again said that he is willing to go ahead and let the discussion begin if the opposition is willing to participate in the discussion. But it seems there was no let up from the opposition in their respective stand. They said that it has to be resignations first. Slogan shouting continued, and that's why disruptions after disruptions happened. And once again, the GST bill was the casualty in this entire high drama. Tomorrow is the last working day of this particular session, but going by the situation which is prevailing right now and going by the stand which both government and opposition has taken, it seems highly unlikely that there will be some change in the situation tomorrow as well.
All right, so the government and opposition still at loggerheads. Vishal Daya will be keeping a track of all those developments happening inside Parliament. The Lok Sabha is still on, in fact, now. Thanks so much for that for now, Vishal. On to our focus story for this evening. China's central bank has again cut the guiding rate for the national currency, the yuan, a day after a record 2% devaluation. Now, its effect showed up on the rupee today, which fell to a two-year low. The Indian currency is currently trading at nearly 65 against the dollar.
For the second consecutive day, the Chinese currency was devalued by nearly 1%. It marked the biggest two-day lowering of its rate against the dollar in more than 2 decades. The new rate is meant to boost exports. Figures released at the weekend showed Chinese exports fell more than 8% in July, adding to concerns the world's second largest economy is heading for a slowdown.
目前这个情况呢，对投资领域和贸易领域造成影响，我觉得这个估计还不是太明显。这个应该说，我个人的感觉啊，人民币包括今天最新的消息，人民币有下降，就下调，汇率下调，这些我觉得对，就像过去历史上曾经发生的情况一样。
But its impact is now being felt globally. The Indian rupee also saw the biggest fall in 2 years. It fell over 1% to 64.78 per dollar, a level last seen in September 2013 when the country was struggling with a high current account deficit. The markets also had its share of worries. The Sensex slumped over 350 points while the Nifty dropped by over 100 points. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And we're joined by senior journalist Priyaranjan Das to help us understand, Priyaranjan, as far as the rupee situation right now is concerned and the impact that the Chinese currency is having on currencies of, in fact, all emerging markets. How would you put that, and how do you see this playing out in the short term?
Well, in China, it has followed a sequence. As you know, the Chinese economy was slowing down, is still slowing down. That led to a stock market meltdown. The Chinese interest rates were lowered, and so now the exchange rate is being adjusted. So Yuan is being devalued, and it's been done 2 days in running, now 4%. Whether this is the end of it, I don't think so. I think you will see perhaps more of devaluation of Yuan, and it is designed to give a boost to the Chinese exports because the Chinese economy is driven, export driven. And so from the slowdown, the escape, the reliance is going to be more on exports for China. Now, this clearly is having an impact on other markets.
Absolutely.
The global financial markets all have been affected.
Yeah, in fact, the Indian stock markets were also down today. So, in that sense, the ramifications, of course, in this interlinked global economy are there. But talking specifically about the markets you were mentioning.
Yes. And so it has had an impact on Indian rupee as well. And as we know, it's the Indian rupee is down to its two-year low. Now, that is, yesterday it was down to 2 months low. Now, the rupee, of course, in terms of, when you look at in terms of the real effective rate of rupee, rupee is slightly overvalued. So, this correction is not all that bad. But we are, as we know, our exports too have been falling, like the Chinese exports.
That's the whole point. And in fact, it's been falling for a couple of quarters now, if I'm not mistaken.
That is right. So for 7 months in running, exports have fallen. And the prospects of export markets being what they are, with slight recovery of the US market and the European market not still yet recovered, we do not see exports going up in a hurry. And when the Chinese devaluation is taking place, clearly that increases the competitive pressure on the Indian exports, especially in things like textiles. But, India clearly doesn't stand to gain much by rupee going down, because we import more than we export. So, of course, we've had in recent months the advantage of lower commodity prices, especially lower energy oil prices.
Right.
But as an economy, we have not been able to take the full advantage of it because our production system is not fully geared up. There is a demand constraint in the economy. So the production, today itself, you've had the industrial production index data out, which is showing a better performance of 3.8% for June.
Right.
But we know that it is nowhere a clear recovery. And the so-called green shoots have been there for 1 year. Nothing seems to be happening. So there is no breakout as such. Given this situation, the devaluation of the rupee is not a good news for us. Although inflation has been firmly under control. And today, even the consumer price index inflation for July is showing appreciable fall to 3.7%. Now that, but when you have devaluation of the rupee, that will have an inflationary pressure. So going forward, although we do not, particularly since this monsoon worry which was there, the back of mind, particularly for food inflation, that seems to be over now. The monsoon fear seems to be over. This kind of a devaluation, and particularly if it leads to competitive devaluation, which is being feared, triggered by this Chinese yuan.
But that devaluation, many say it was also a necessity because for some time now, it had been said that a correction had to happen, for example, the numbers just were not matching up.
That's right. International Monetary Fund, for instance, has taken that view that that China should have better market-linked exchange rate, and this is being seen as a correction towards that. But if it eventually leads to competitive devaluation, then the global economy as such, as we know, that global trade for the first time, global trade growth is lower than the very little economic growth, global economic growth that you have seen. So trade growth even lower than that. That being the case, the temptation to go in for desperate measures such as competitive devaluation is there. Now, if countries actually fall for that, that's not going to be a good situation.
All right, indeed, strong words over there. But Mr. Dash, thank you very much for coming in and helping us understand the devaluation of the Chinese currency and the impact that it has had on the rupee and also the stock markets today. They were also down as well. Thanks so much for that. On that note, we'll take a very quick break. Coming up on the other side, Captain Virat Kohli and opener Shikhar Dhawan helped India recover early losses against Sri Lanka in the first test after Ashwin's heroics with the ball.
Hello and welcome to our special program, To The Point. Today we have with us Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge.
The ruling party itself indulged in suspending 25 people. They suspended. Lalit Modi case, you know that the money is rotated through Morales. He expresses his man ki baat there. Why should not he express kaam ki baat in radio and tell the people?
Watch Leader of Congress in Lok Sabha, Mallikarjun Kharge expresses views in To The Point on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching the news at 6. Now, in the run-up to the assembly polls in Bihar, the mega alliance of the JDU, RJD and the Congress today formally unveiled their seat-sharing plan. While both the JDU and the RJD will contest on 100 seats each, the Congress will fight for 40. The NCP is also likely to join the Grand Alliance, but it's still not very clear as to how many seats will fall in its kitty.
After months of deliberations and several rounds of talks, the much-touted mega alliance or Mahagathbandhan of the JDU, RJD and the Congress announced their seat-sharing formula in Bihar on Wednesday. The announcement was made at a joint press conference by Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar, RJD Supremo Lalu Prasad and Congress's Bihar in charge CP Joshi. According to the formula, both RJD and JDU will contest 100 seats each, while the junior partner in the alliance, Congress, will fight 40 seats.
सहमति के आधार पर 100 सीट राष्ट्रीय जनता दल, 100 सीट जनता दल यूनाइटेड और 40 सीट कांग्रेस लड़ेगी। हम लोगों को इस बात की उम्मीद है कि अन्य दल जैसे एनसीपी हम लोगों के साथ आएंगे।
RJD Supremo Lalu Prasad said the combination will put all their chips into the polls to stop the BJP.
हम लोग पूरी मजबूती के साथ खेत से लेकर खलिहान तक भारतीय जनता पार्टी को, आरएसएस को चुनाव में, एक चुनाव हो रहा है, चुनाव बिहार का चुनाव नहीं, यह देश का चुनाव हो रहा है।
The first united show of the Grand Alliance will be held at Gandhi Maidan in Patna on the 30th of August. The mega rally is being termed the Bihar Swabhiman Rally.
महागठबंधन की जो प्रथम रैली 30 तारीख को गांधी मैदान में होगी, उसमें कांग्रेस पार्टी का नेतृत्व भाग लेगा।
The BJP, however, remains unfazed by the announcement of seat sharing or the rally. Its leaders are confident that the people of Bihar will vote for change.
दोनों एक दूसरे को ठग रहे हैं, दोनों एक दूसरे को बेवकूफ बना रहे हैं और दोनों साथ में बैठ के बिहार की जनता को भी ठगने का कोशिश कर रहे हैं।
Elections in Bihar are due later this year, but battle lines have already been drawn. For the newfound RJD-JDU Congress alliance, it's a battle of survival, while for the BJP, at stake is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's popularity. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, India today suffered a huge blow in its efforts to secure a permanent seat in the expanded UN Security Council. The United States, Russia and China opposed negotiations to reform the UN body, refusing to contribute to a text that will form the basis of the process. The text was circulated by UN General Assembly President Sam Kutesa to all the members on the 1st of August. The text was to form the basis for the negotiations to reform the Security Council. With the refusal of the big three nations, the negotiations now become little more than an academic exercise. Time now to take a look at what else is making news around the world in Global Buzz. Around 500 migrants were taken to safety to the Sicilian port of Augusta by an Irish Navy ship on Tuesday. The migrants, mostly from sub-Saharan Africa, were part of people rescued from the Mediterranean since Monday. In another operation, up to 50 migrants went missing after a large rubber dinghy sank. Libya's internationally recognized Prime Minister Abdullah Al-Thani dramatically said during a television interview that he would resign after being confronted by questions from angry citizens who criticized his cabinet as being ineffective. This came hours after the fraught peace talks between the country's rival factions restarted. However, it was later clarified that the Prime Minister only meant he would quit if the people demanded it. The US police arrested dozens of people on Monday night and Tuesday morning amid rising tensions in Ferguson. Police say they arrested more than 20 people during the clashes that broke out during protests marking the anniversary of Michael Brown's death. Police also released a video that shows a black teenager brandishing a gun before he was shot and badly wounded by officers during the protest. Some sports now, and Indian captain Virat Kohli and opener Shikhar Dhawan have put together a 100-run partnership after early losses in the first test against Sri Lanka. At stumps on day one, India posted 128 runs for the loss of 2 wickets. India lost Lokesh Rahul and Rohit Sharma cheaply after bowling out Sri Lanka for 183 in the first innings. Off-spinner Ravichandran Ashwin, who took 6 wickets for 46 runs to leave the hosts in tatters on day one of the test match. He was supported by leg spinner Amit Mishra, who took 2 wickets. Ishant Sharma and Varun Aaron took 1 each. For Sri Lanka, captain Angelo Matthews was the top scorer with 64 runs. His stand with wicketkeeper Dinesh Chandimal helped Lanka to post a total in excess of 150. Well, that's all from us. Goodbye.